Hello everyone, and welcome to The Last Gamers Room Tour for mid-2017. The room's currently between 70 and 80% complete because there's still a lot to do, so I thought it's at least 6 months away until it's fully complete. Why not do one now? Hello, my name is Joel Hopkins. I'm going to show you at the end of the video how I hook up my LCDs and my CRTs. For now, we're going to look at my Sega Dreamcast collection. I've got a full set of Sega Dreamcast games. They're not all here at the moment, they're in the cinema room. And Jess, who also is a part of Last Gamer, is bringing them in and cataloguing them at the same time. This is where my USA collection goes for the Sega Dreamcast. So without boring you too much, let's get on to one of my favourite collections, which is the Sega Saturn. This is probably the first console I had a full set for, the Sega Saturn. And I just love this collection. All up, there's 1,274 games for the Japanese Sega Saturn. I don't have the Australian versions of Sega Saturn games, or even the American versions for that matter. I mainly focus on the Japanese games themselves. They're all in alphabetical order, and probably about 30 to 40% you can't actually read from the spines. But it is such an iconic console, and definitely one of my favourite consoles, especially of that time. A couple of games I can pick out and show you would be Radiant Silvergun. Absolutely love this game. I'm surprised the CD hasn't worn out. I've thrashed this to bits. I've also got it on the STV. That's the Sega Titan video game arcade board, and they're pretty much identical. The Saturn one is actually better in some respects as it's got a longer mode. Awesome game. I could go on forever about the Saturn games. I just love probably 90% of them. The other 10% are either RPG Japanese games that I can't read or play, and then there's some really weird games in the mix. So we'll move on from Sega Saturn. So from Saturn, we're going way back, and that's to look at the Mark III games. These are the current Mark III games I've got. I think I've got another box of Mark III games to put up, but I'm very, very, very close to a full set of Mark III games. That's every single game. There wasn't as many Mark III, also known as the Master System games, released in Japan as there was Australia, Europe, and New Zealand. So that's a little info fact there. There's also, I've got some SG-1000 games there, and I've got another box somewhere that still have to go up. But this shelf will be full once it's complete. And I've got various consoles up there, and we'll be definitely doing reviews of those consoles in due course. Okay, so now we're going to go to my first love in video game consoles, and that was the Sega Master System. It kind of was the Atari 2600, but when I got my Sega Master System, there was just something magical. Absolutely love this system. I didn't start off on NES, I started off on Master System. And I remember going to school, everyone had a NES, and not many had a Master System. But by the time I got to high school, that kind of changed around, so that's interesting. Anyway, this is a full set of Master System games. A lot of them aren't here yet, but once they come, they'll get flipped around. So they're kind of just fluffed out for the camera at the moment, so we're not looking at blank shelves. I've done that through the room, but once Jess brings in the rest of the games, this shelf will be absolutely, completely full. So that's my Master System collection. As I said, I love it. I play it a lot. Believe it or not, I play my Master System at least probably once to twice a week at times. Now, before we look at the Sega Megadrive, I will mention a classic. Where are we? Quartet. This is one of the first games I had on Master System. I can play the hell out of this game and still be entertained even to this day. This is my very copy, and I've kept it in pretty good condition actually. So, and that was bought back in 1986, I think, from memory. Does it have a date on 87, it says here. So yeah, I thought it was 86, but yeah, 87. Yeah, that was one of my first big games that I just thought, oh, this system's just, it's to die for. So that's my mentioned game on the Master System. Coming to my favourite console. So number one at the top is the Sega Megadrive, also known in America as the Sega Genesis. So the Sega Megadrive was my first true import console. I actually bought the console from England. It was a Japanese grey import, and I had it early in 1988, whereas Australia got it in 1990. We will touch up upon this story in story mode, which is one of the segments on Last Gamer. I've got the full set of Sega Megadrive games. Off the top of my head, I think it's 421. I can't remember the exact amount, could be completely wrong. The holy grail of this collection is this game, which we'll definitely do a review on. A lot of people think there's 8 in the world. There's actually between 3 and 5. It never got released. It's Tetris for the Sega Megadrive. It's even got a serial number of 007. I love that part because I'm a big James Bond fan, which does actually exist in the Megadrive serial number library. I got it from a good friend at Capcom who knew someone at Sega a long time ago. And yes, it's a very rare game. There's a big story behind it, and we will cover it in a review of that game in time. All other Sega Mega Drive games, I just love nearly every game on the Mega Drive. I just love the Sega Mega Drive. I love the shoot 'em ups. I love the sound, even though some people criticize it. I reckon the sound is just awesome on the Mega Drive, the FM sound chip. Tatsujin's one of my favorites. It's an early release. Awesome shoot 'em up. Also, which is right next to it, is the Super Shinobi, also known as Revenge of Shinobi. Tatsujin's also known as Truxton in the Western world. And they're 19 and 20, they're serial numbers. So we'll put that back. Forgotten Worlds, anyone who knows me knows I absolutely love Forgotten Worlds. Arcade, Master System, Mega Drive, Amiga, Commodore 64. I love all versions of Forgotten Worlds, another awesome game. I can go on for ages about the Mega Drive. There's nothing, I can just pick a random game. That's Art Alive, probably. That's not the best example. It's more of a kid game, so it's got me. Next to it, ToeJam and Earl, fantastic game. I remember completing that. It took me ages to find all the puzzles to get the spaceship. Top game. Look at this, 2 crew dudes, fantastic. Mega Drive has had some really good arcade licenses. You know, just bare knuckles. I mean, how can you go wrong? It was a really good console. I never had a Genesis ever. I mainly concentrate on the Japanese version of Mega Drive, and even the Australian games, I never really went down that track until recently. I started buying up a lot of Genesis games because there are a lot of exclusives that never come out on the Japanese Mega Drive that did make its way in the European markets and on the Genesis. So we'll go down this aisle now, and this is Mega CD and Game Gear. Now we will talk about Game Gear. I know it sounds corny, but one of my favourite games on the Game Gear is Columns. It's extremely playable. Columns is fun, the music is awesome, and it's awesome because it was portable. I remember taking it to work and playing Columns. Columns and Halley's Comet. I won't be able to find it quick. Hang on. Yes, I will. There you go. So Halley's Comet, it's a shoot 'em up by Taito. It was on the arcade. I've actually got the arcade board. Top game. A lot of controversial about the Mega CD or Sega CD, the Western world, or in America, I should say. Mega CD in Europe and Australia and everywhere else. I love the Mega CD. Coming out, when it came out, I was a little bit disappointed, but you get to love the games over time. It's an acquired taste. Just found one of the games before. It was still sealed, this one. So I don't know what's the go there. I've actually got the game, but I must have, I don't know what happened while I've got a double. But anyway, that's how it is. The 32X, I've still got to put the rest of the 32X games up. And most of the games that you'll see in this room tour, I've had from back in the day. It's not like I've just went and bought a lot of them now. I've been collecting for a long time. Probably seriously collecting since the mid-80s. Not in the 90s, was definitely mid-80s to late 80s. I just wanted to collect massive games because I would just play, you know, like literally like 100 hours a week back in the day. We will move from the 32X to the Genesis. The Genesis is all over the place at the moment, and I'm still sorting it out. So yeah, just basically in alphabetical order. And as I said, this stuff I've kind of got recently. I did have some Genesis games back in the day that I used to import because they weren't available on the Japanese Mega Drive. Gee, this is in good nick actually, this one. There's a Golden Axe poster there. So yeah, it's something that I've wanted to have a full set of Genesis games, which is in the works at the moment, but I've got so much else to do. these are the Australian Megadrive games. I have got more, and we're just sorting them out at the moment, but it's all kind of over the place, and I've just had them over time. All right, so moving along, because it is going to take a while to get through all this stuff, I've got my soundtracks here. So you can always tell a Konami soundtrack by these yellow bands. That's how I tell it anyway. So I've got a lot more soundtracks than this, but at the moment, that's where the soundtracks are going to be put. These are my MSX games, Nemesis 2 and Salamander. Have got a few more, but not a lot of MSX games. They're very expensive at the moment. It's actually becoming very hard to collect for, because games like this, $400 or $500, kid you not. Especially this Salamander with the gold. My 3DO collection, there's Police Thoughts there, and just some other various Japanese games, but that'll be a full list going down of Japanese games. Now we move over to another classic console. Who cannot look past the PC Engine, also known as the TurboGrafx 16? So these are the HuCards. These are the just the normal CD-ROMs, Super CD-ROMs. Again, they're not all here. We're trying to put them in alphabetical order. As I said, when I said the room is 70% complete, that's what's not complete. There's a lot of games still not in here, and some are. So we're still organising and arranging. So yeah, these are the normal CD-ROMs, these are Super CD-ROMs, and that's the arcade CD-ROM for the PC Engine. PC Engine, an absolute classic console, something that's small, 8-bit, and it really takes it up to a lot of the 16 bits of the time, in my opinion. I've still got Outrun kind of, shrink wrapped because, or sealed, only because I've got the card loose, and I thought, well, I'm not going to open that one up. Space Harrier, Fantasy Zone, Power Drift, try and keep my games in order, like, Sega, because it's quite hard to read them. Look, apart from Power Drift, you kind of can't see what's going on there. So, yeah, and the funny thing is, Power Drift never came out on the Mega Drive. It was supposed to. Anyway, it came out on the PC Engine. It was really good to have that. If you didn't have the arcade back then, that was kind of the best port going around. Again, this is where the Genesis games will come up to, and this is enough to hold the full library of Genesis games. So before we head down this Commodore 64 and Spectrum aisle, I've got shelving at the end of each aisle, and kind of things I love and things that stand out, collectibles and all that. That's kind of my Last Ninja shrine, if you like. That is one of my favourite games growing up on the Commodore 64. I'm sure with people with the Commodore 64, it's a lot of people's favourite game. So I've just got the versions there. Then my Super Graphics PC Engine. Got a Fajitsu Marty up here. So let's head down the Commodore 64 aisle. I should actually say Commodore 64 Spectrum. I've got to hang on and work out which one's which. So this is the Spectrum, this is the Commodore 64. Now, if you're not familiar, Spectrum is predominantly a computer that was released in the UK, but it did go worldwide, but it was much more popular in Europe. Commodore 64 is definitely more worldwide than Spectrum. Well, it was for Australia at least, and it was extremely popular in Australia, the Commodore 64. They sold millions of it. The Spectrum, I've got something like 6,000 games. A lot of them are still getting put up here. As you can imagine, they take up a lot of space. Majority of them are cassette. You've got double cassettes like this Buggy Boy here, and I'll get a single cassette. Oh. A single cassette like Miami Vice. Look at that, Miami Vice on the Spectrum. That is actually a good game. That is, you never hear of Miami Vice video games from back in those days, but yeah, so that's good. This whole aisle is basically full of Spectrum, and this whole aisle, which is still getting put up, is full of Commodore 64. The Commodore 64, probably around the 4,000 to 5,000 game mark, and I'm getting a lot more off collectors who want to sell off their doubles and do trades with doubles I've got. So yeah, that's good. I'll be here forever if I get started on the Commodore 64. But we're going to do a lot of reviews and in-depth looks and technical on the Commodore 64 in the future. Something I love. Look at this game here, Green Beret. So I remember buying that from Kmart. That's, as I said, most of these, most of them are actually my copy from back in the day when I was a young boy. So yeah, Green Beret. I'm surprised this cassette still works, but it actually does. I love that. On the Commodore 64, it's almost better than the arcade for me, only because I played it more when I was a kid. So that's those aisles, and now we're going to head to some real arcade fun down here. So we've come to the aisle where it carries the Neo Geo. Before I talk about the Neo Geo, I should talk about this aisle. This is actually really cool for all you Amiga fans out there. So I've got probably now 1,500 Amiga games all up, all original. I've got a gazillion pirated games because I was a pirate back in the Amiga days. But we're just obviously, you know, these are original, and I've got heaps of originals I've still got to unbox. I bought quite a lot off a collector just recently. Anyway, won't bore you with that. This is the Amiga library. It's kind of a mess at the moment. I'm still sorting it out. Ghouls and Ghosts, not the best game, but a phenomenal soundtrack. Yeah, that's one awesome one. I loved Bionic Commando. These are obviously my Capcom games. I kind of set things up where the boxes look nice and it kind of looks orderly. Look at this, Monkey Island. What a classic! That's one of Adam's favourite games, and Alex, everyone loves Monkey Island, I guess. Zack McCracken, look at that. That was $10 back then. Now, forget that. It's like 700, and I'm not joking. Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Just, Street Rod. There's miles and miles of classics. The Amiga is something that's very overlooked in the last 10 years as something people collect for, but now it seems to have dried up. And yeah, it's just something I absolutely love. So the Amiga was the next computer I got after my Commodore 64, and fell in love straight away. It was such a breakthrough, and that was in 1987. So I had the Master System, then I went on to the Amiga, and you know, not that it's saying it blew away the Master System, it did in graphics, but they were very, very different. But as for a computer games machine, this was absolutely number 1 for me. So let's get over to this side. So we're going to look at the Neo Geo. So this is Neo Geo Pocket. There's a few more to still come. There's a full library of Neo Geo CD games. But don't worry about that. We want to get on to the Neo Geo MVS and AES games. So this is a full library of Neo Geo MVS games. Some of you might have seen the Neo Geo video when I got a big collection over 650 games. So that enabled me to sort out my current Neo Geo MVS collection and make the full set. Not all of them are here at the moment. I'm having boxes made up for a lot of them so I can have all nice new boxes and then get those cartridges out and thrash those games, because who doesn't love Neo Geo? Got such a cult following. This is my Neo Geo AES collection, so it's in this shelf here. They're facing this way at the moment because I like to kind of fill up the shelf, as I said. But what happens is when I get a new Neo Geo AES game, say one comes along, I'll put it here and there it goes, until one day all the spines are facing like that. So that's kind of what I do as I go along. Neo Geo AES is a very expensive console. Games ranging from anywhere from a few $100s to literally a few $1,000s. Very expensive console. Coming onto a classic computer that never got released outside Japan, and that's Sharp's X68000. And talk about Neo Geo expensive games, these are no different. It's something that Capcom uses as a platform to make its CPS arcade board, which has got Street Fighter, Final Fight, Forgotten Worlds, Ghouls and Ghosts Strider, Airwing, Carrier Airwing, UN Squadron, all those great games that Capcom made in the late 80s, early 90s. Well, they use this Sharp X68000. We'll have a look at the computer in a minute. And the games are enormously expensive now. The artwork alone is almost worth the price of the game. So that's Don Nakamura, which is Ghouls and Ghosts. Yeah, and this is arcade perfect. Strider, Final Fight, and Konami were no stranger to the X68000, with Castlevania being released on it. And this Castlevania, it did get released on the PlayStation in a collection. I can't remember off the top of my head. That's what happens when I'm not doing research, I'm just shooting off the cuff. I love this Castlevania. It's probably my third favourite. After Symphony of the Night and Castlevania 4, this would be next. Yeah, and Konami had some great games on it. Parodius, Twin Beast, Salamander, Nemesis 90, and Gradius Gopher 2, Street Fighters, Flying Shark, and this Star Wars game that was released late in the X68000's life, where they actually went to 3.5-inch discs. So there's the disc there. It's like new condition, and it actually comes with this 70s looking Darth Vader character. That is actually how it comes. But majority of the games, I think about 95% of the collection, is released on 5.25 floppies. All right, so it's just later on they ended up doing it that way. So that's this all, and you can see I've put Neo Geo and X68000 because they're very similar, 16 bits. You know, they're kind of the kings from Japan, and I've put them together. So we come around here, and I'll show you the computer. That is the X68000. And that's there with Gradius. So we've got 2 Gradiuses. And look out for the Gradius review coming very soon. I'm doing a full Gradius review where I'll look at Gradius from the day it started to the day it ended. All versions, including Salamander, which is part of the story. And just look at this beautiful computer. There's a tower form. There's also a desktop form. And I will definitely have to do something on the X68000. Currently got in the cabinet, nothing special, just a Neo Geo joystick. Jag CD, ColecoVision, and I will show you at the end. I've got glass cabinets around here where I've got a lot of the boxes stored and all that. And as I said, at the moment, this room's pretty much, you know, it's just still getting settled and set up. So we, you know, we've got a bit of a ways to go. Now we're in the next aisle, and this is kind of a peculiar one. We've got Atari on this side, and we've kind of got Wii U, and there will be Wii on that side. As I said, this is not, it's not all settled and finished yet. So I just will actually point out, oh, I've grabbed ET, kind of a bit squashy, this cover. Majority of my games do have protective covers. I will do a little segment on that in the Ion Retro, on how to protect your covers from UV light, and also protect them from the elements, from scratching and all that kind of thing. So yeah, so this cover, maybe the game was a bit tight. Some Atari games are a bit tighter than others. But anyway, that's the Atari 2600. Then we've got the Atari 5200. And then we've got Atari 7800. Get those the right way around. A lot of my 7800 games are actually still in the shrink wrap. It is embarrassing. I haven't played a lot of them, to be honest. And they are from back in the day. I don't know what I was thinking, but I think because other consoles were out, it just got put on the back burner. But there were games I did play on the 7800. What's this? Choplifter. Yeah, I would have played that. No, Commando. Here we go. Definitely Commando. Commando, classic Capcom game. Would have thrashed that. Jaguar still getting put up, so Jaguar will go probably to here, and Jaguar there, all the CD games with Blue Lightning that comes with the Jaguar. Then we've got Atari Lynx games. Haven't got the full set of them yet. Working on that one. ColecoVision. I've only just started collecting for that. I've never really been to ColecoVision at the start, so it's not something I've kind of gone after. And Intellivision, same story. Atari 2600 was the thing for me to basically get the full set of games, and kind of ColecoVision, that could always follow on. They're not impossible to get. Going back, so these shelves have just got accessories on them at the moment until I put all the rest of the Wii games on. As I said, there's a lot of boxes in my cinema we've got to bring here for the Wii and the Wii U. So Wii U, I think, is going to occupy about 2 columns. These are Japanese Wii U games, so Mario Kart, it's both Mario Karts. Splatoon, but a great one is this one. It's actually very good to have the Japanese version of Sonic Transformed. It's got heaps better commentary. It's the actual guy who sings the Daytona theme song in Daytona, USA. He actually does the commentary in the game, and while he's commentating, he just breaks into the Daytona song. So it's pretty good. It's very different to the Western version of Sonic All-Star Racing, and they're just Wii U games just put there at the moment, but they're going to span there as I said, accessories will come around here now. Here we go, we're going to kick off Nintendo with some Amiibos. So I don't know if I'm even up to date with Amiibos. I couldn't tell you at all. But, you know, these are my Amiibos. I'm still setting them up, still trying to find what orders what. You know, I know that the Mario Gold and Silver was some kind of special thing, and I get lost in the Amiibos, to be quite honest with you. So, and you will notice, by the way, I've got boxes up here. They're light boxes. I made them myself, and I basically mount consoles in the boxes just to kind of dress up the room and make it look interesting. Obviously, these ones won't stay here because they're going to be Nintendo. They'll go somewhere else. All right, before we kick off Nintendo any further, I will say these are the Wii and GameCube games on this shelf. So kind of doing this in a bit of a reverse order. So these are the GameCube games, GameCube Japanese, Wii Japanese, but they'll actually bend around there, or I'm going to reconfigure them and probably have all the Wii here. I've got a full set of Wii. That's all to do with over the world, so a lot of Japanese exclusives and all that type of stuff. Same with GameCube. Yeah, so that's it, but we want to get into the start of the Nintendo era and look at the Famicom. So all these games here are Famicom games. Not a lot of them are boxed. There is a lot boxed, but I haven't got the full library of box. I've got the full library of cartridges. The cartridges all here, and there's still more coming in. Yeah, I've got them kind of more in their company order, so I know what to look for and where to catalogue them. And there's roughly 1,100 games for the Famicom, which is the Japanese NES. I'm sure a lot of you already know that. This is one I'm chasing to get all these Namco games boxed. I've got it, as I said, I've got them all on cartridge, but you know, it goes from 1 to 18, and it's great to have that, and I love Namco. All right, this one's, you know, you see them everywhere. Everyone's got NES games. I won't go into it too deep, but these are a full set of NES games, all American. If they're not American, they're PAL that you can't get here, like classic Aussie Rules Football. Look at that. So distributed by Mattel at that stage. Nintendo actually weren't in Australia at that time. So it's Aussie Rules Football. Again, these are kept in plastic protectors, UV light, and as I said, the elements, and just, you know, keep them clean. So that's a full set of NES games. Now we get on to the Super Famicom, which is obviously the Japanese version of the Super Nintendo. No, I do not have a full set here. I've got boxes and boxes of cartridges I'm still going through to see how close I am to a full set. Not something I'm kind of going for at the moment, but it is something that I'd like to in the future, all boxed of course. So there's quite a lot of games here, and majority of them I had from back in the day. So I remember I was working so hard to actually buy a game, and I was buying them from England and Japan at that stage because they weren't available in Australia. This was in 1990, so a lot of the launch games, and I was paying way over $100 Australian, which is quite a lot of money when the retail price would have been about $80. That's, you can tell that's my one that's actually faded on the side there. And then later on, I bought another one just to, you know, but that's my original. I would never sell that because, you know, I've put a lot of hours into Super Mario World. I should be talking about the gems again of games I personally love. I've kind of missed over a few of them, but just to kind of get back on track, oh my God, there's just so many. Area 88, loved it. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, loved it. Final Fight is another, you know, it's just gold. Super Alesti, this is an absolute classic shooter on the Super Famicom. That's another one I love. I played the hell out of that, beat it on hard. R-Type 3, you know, anyone who's into shoot 'em ups, you just love R-Type straight off the bat. That's the original Super R-Type. And R-Type 3, where's R-Type 2? I don't know, I'm sure I got it. Do I? I have to think about that one. Yeah, so Konami, look how many beautiful games. Gradius 3, Castlevania, Axlay, Super Contra. Contra Spirits, I should say, which is Contra 3, Ninja Turtles Parodius, all the different versions of Parodius, Forever With Me, Forever With You. This game does not get enough praise in my book. Goemon, Mystic Ninja, I think from memory. Or Mystical Ninja, I think was the English name. Anyway, Goemon is absolute awesome game. It's kind of like a top view, isometric in a way, top view, and then it goes into a side-scrolling platformer. It's so underrated, but yeah, awesome. And you can tell games off Thrash because look at the covers. That the cardboard's kind of faded. It's getting a bit on the side of wear and tear. Put that the right way up. And there's just Castlevania XX, or Dracula XX, I should say. So the sequel to Castlevania 4, not as good, but still a great game. And there's also more Goemons. I won't stop talking. We got to keep moving. And the Super Famicom games stop around here. Okay, I just get my breath. So there's a lot of accessories above here as well that I'm kind of missing out on. I should be probably talking about that. So, we've got the laser scope, we've got Rob the Robot, which is actually the separate version of Rob the Robot. So it's not the one that comes in the box, which is up there. This was one actually that was brought separately with the Gyromite separately. And that's quite rare because not many people actually bought them separate. They may as well get in the kit because it was quite pricey. The Zapper, the Double Player, the U-Force. There's the mini NES up there. I've never even opened that because what for when you've got the real thing? That's my, fair enough to buy it for those 30 games. If you've got the real thing, I just prefer to play that on the CRT. I've got the Capcom Power Stick. I've got some new, I think they're Yoshi Worlds on the Super Famicom. It's a box of 10. I don't know why I got that. I can't even remember who I got it from. So that's it. After I've got all the different color control pads for the N64. This is by far my favorite. It's the Extreme Green, and also the see-through purple, and there's a solid purple, and the list goes on. There's so much for N64, which we will get onto in a minute. And I've got my consoles up there. That's my favorite one, the James Bond. Being a James Bond fanatic, that's my favorite. But it's also good because it is quite rare. And next to that, that purple grape, I love that color. I love that color in 64. Then we get on to Super Nintendo games, full library of Super Nintendo games, the complete set, but they're not all put up there at the moment. Some have to be put away. I don't know why cartridges are out. So I did say at the start, and I will repeat, it's a bit of a mess at the moment, but at least everything is getting up. Super Nintendo games. I guess I've got to say something different compared to the Super Famicom games. Look, there's MGA Jam. Love that game. MGA Jam, just trying to look for other games. Probably more RPG games. Zelda, that's the obvious one. A Link to the Past. That is my favourite Zelda game of all the Zeldas, even the Breath of the Wild. I still prefer Link to the Past. Probably because that was the first game I literally played. Zelda, I didn't play the NES versions because I didn't have a NES at the start. I got into NES later on. F-Zero, I will mention that. Awesome. Top game F-Zero. Even though it is on the Japanese version, I just forgot to mention it. There's just heaps. Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong, what else is there? Gee, Kirby's Avalanche, Killer Instinct. And I have got some different consoles, the Donkey Kong 2-pack, the Killer Instinct pack. Yeah, and some rare, or not rare so much, but N64 editions. And I've spoken about those in the past in videos. Okay, so we'll get to the N64 now. Another favorite console of mine. When it comes to Nintendo, I was predominantly a Sega, I'm not going to say fanboys. No, I don't exist in the fanboy universe. I love all the consoles. Not equally, but love them all. Yeah, when it comes to Nintendo, my favourite two consoles I always struggle with would be Super Nintendo and N64. And then I've got a big soft spot in recent years for the NES. Because just so many great games on it, very playable, and I don't really care about the graphics all that much. But N64 won my heart with Mario 64. It's down there somewhere, I can't even be bothered. Where is it? Just, I'd be under S, Super Mario 64. There's Smash Brothers and Star Fox. I reckon the N64, even though it had a small library of what, 280 games off the top of my head, it is still a great library. There's not many crappy games in there. Apart from, here it is, Super Mario. Apart from Super Mario, the other game that I have to say that I put hundreds of hours into was GoldenEye 007. I mean, who didn't? If you had an N64, you had GoldenEye. It was as simple as that. So yeah, it's here's my GoldenEye there. And in a video a while back, I showed that I've had the Australian version all this time, so all my data's on there. And I ended up buying the American version just so I wouldn't have to use a converter, because my console's Japanese, which plays American and Japanese games, and I had to use a converter to run it on the PAL. But now all my games are now American, but I've kept my PAL game just because it's been with me so long. Then I've got the Japanese set of N64 games. A couple of notable ones. This is Mario 64, and this is Mario 64 with the rumble vibration. That's what that means. I can't remember off the top of my head how to translate that, but it does have the vibration rumble pack active on that Super Mario 64, and they did the same thing with Wave Race. So another awesome game on N64. This is my Wave Race from launch. I brought my N64 in from Japan. I actually used to sell N64 imports, and that is Wave Race from back then. Pilot Wings, such a good console. Just, yeah, love the N64. And as I spoke, then it goes to GameCube, which we looked at before. These are my handhelds, which this is kind of a mess at the moment because I don't even know where I'm going to put them. There's so many. This is just Game Boy, and that's not even anywhere near all of them. That's like, we're only up to like N or something. I can't even remember, but Jess is organising all that. She's helping me out. But yeah, look, another James Bond game. Well, that's not in the protective cover. Anyway, the N64, the Game Boy games start here, and then it goes to, it's a bit muddled around. It just shows we still have to organise it. This is Game Boy Advance games here, and there's colour here, so they're kind of a bit jumbled up, but I like to get the Japanese versions of the Game Boy Advance. They're very different, the covers, and that's for the mini Famicom. So they're basically NES versions of those games released on Game Boy Advance, and they were called, I don't think they called them Black Series, but anyway, they were NES versions, NES Classics, that's it. Again, Game Boy, what's this? That's Advance. I don't know where my colour, oh, here it is. So colours are down here. They're all kind of just a bit of a muddle at the moment. So there you go. Then it starts my DS, still getting put up, the DS. My Game & Watch, they're kind of a mess all over the place. Game & Watch. And then there is my, they'll probably go on the shelf there. I'm going to remove this. I will say I'm just going to remove this kind of this Xbox stuff over there and have a shelf with all my Game & Watch in there. Heading back, these are Japanese DS games. So there's a lot of good games that only come out in Japan on the DS, and yeah, there's some real classics there. So I don't know how I'm going to organise these because I cannot read the side at all. And here's my 3DS. The collection is a little bit weak. That's all I've got of 3DS. There's no more to come. I'm working on that. But, you know, I don't want to make it about numbers and just collect just for the sake of it. I do want to play the games as well. I should start answering questions while I'm talking and showing you around the room. A question I get a lot is, you must be loaded to have this. Are you rich? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I can assure you I am not rich. I might be asset rich, but I'm not rich. I've been collecting a long time, as I said, roughly mid-80s, maybe 87, 88, something like that. And I would work, especially in my younger days, in my early 20s, I would just work 7 days a week, or at least 6 days a week, and I would just buy games, play them, buy games, play Never sell, never trade in. I'm just not into that. And I would just literally collect my collection. There is also tricks about buying games, and this is what a lot of people probably don't see behind the scenes with me or with Last Game themselves. And I will start doing segments on this about buying games, where to buy games, and a lot of big collectors don't want you to know this. They don't want you to know where they're buying their games, how they're buying their games, because there's places out there you'd just be surprised at where you can find retro games, not so much new games. That's kind of a sewn up market because it is what it is. Once the game gets released, it's kind of set its price, but there is places that you can buy retro games, especially in Japan, ridiculously cheap prices. eBay is not something you should go off, and I will definitely do a segment on that. You just stay tuned to Last Gamer, and we'll be showing you places where you can buy, Japanese DS games or Super Famicom games or Japanese Megadrive, whatever, even Neo Geo. And there is also buying games in America, and eBay is not the place to go. There is other avenues, and you'd just be surprised how cheap you can actually buy some of this stuff from. So instead of looking at the angle, are you rich, it's more of an angle of how did you obtain that. What I'll do for a living, I get asked that all the time. In fact, if I got $1 for every time I got asked that, I would be rich. So I am a arcade / pinball technician. My wife Mandy and I work on arcade and pinball machines. We restore them for people more or less, and we do buy run down arcade machines, we restore them and resell them. That's what we do at the moment. I've had various jobs in my life, but I've always been working since the age of 8. You might see I have a story mode segment where I started a paper round at 8 years old. Well, that's when I kicked off, and that's what, that gave me income to buy games, and I'm still going today. Another question, have I ever stopped collecting? No. From the time I remember to now, I've never thought, you know what, I'm going to give up collecting. A lot of rumours going around that I've stopped collecting in the last few months. Don't listen to all that. That's just people that are either jealous or, whatever. I'm not going to stop collecting. I'm never going to stop collecting. My son is as hardcore into video games as I am. He's 7 years old. He'll pick up a Super Nintendo game, Super Famicom. He understands the differences, the Japanese. He'll come to me and say, Dad, I want to play a Japanese version of Splatoon. I said, why? There's no difference. He goes, yeah, there is. And he'll explain the differences. He's just as crazy about games as me, and he appreciates Commodore 64. He appreciates Spectrum, Amiga, Master System, NES, everything, which is fantastic. Okay, so we're on this side now. So that's kind of the Nintendo side. Now we're on this side, which is the PlayStation side. Before we get into it, this here is an Ultra 64 console. No, it's not a fake. First of all, yes, I absolutely will be doing a review on it. I'll tell you how I got it, why I got it, and how long I've had it. I've had it in the 90s. So I've got a friend who used to work for Capcom. I've spoken about him 100 times. He gets me a lot of stuff, usually for free, and he'll just send it over. He's given me development kit, PlayStation 3s. He got me a PlayStation 3 2 weeks before it was even released, like a proper Japanese PlayStation 3. I mean, that's just one of many things. He's given me arcade boards from Capcom. He's done a few shifty things for me, but anyway, that's good. The Nitro Capture, which is a game, which is a DS, thank you, a DS, development device. I've got all my Game Boy Colors in there, and I've gone crazy over the years. I just love it. I love video games. You must understand that. I'm not just someone, I don't want anyone to think I'm someone with deep pockets who just wants to collect it for the sake of it. No. As hardcore gamer as I reckon you can get. So we'll come into this aisle. This is PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 2. So full set of PlayStation 2, almost there for full set of PlayStation 3. I should be starting to mention notable games because really, now Gran Turismo 5, by far, well that's Prologue. Where's Gran Turismo 5? Why is there only a few? Oh, there they are. So Gran Turismo 5, look, my case is scratched up for a reason because I lived on this game. Got a platinum. I love the Gran Turismo series. I'm really I've really been drawn to Forza lately, but Gran Turismo is where my heart's at. I've completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I haven't finished 6, only because there's so many games to still finish. I bought a Nissan GTR back in 2012, and they actually gave me a console and a copy of Gran Turismo with the car, believe it or not, because the car's electronics are made by Polyphony, who made Gran Turismo. So there you go. So you actually get a PlayStation 3, and it's a different version of Gran Turismo. It's some, it's got like not for resale on it. It's some kind of, anyway, I don't know where it's gone. I've got so many of them just hanging around. I've got a lot of exclusive Japanese games that came out on the PlayStation 3 that never got released, like Strider, the remake that came out on PlayStation 3 and 4, Xbox One, Xbox 360. So that, just games like that, Dungeons and Dragons, and I love collecting that obscure Japanese stuff. I'm just going to try and find it now. It'll be hard to find. I found this one. This is Bionic Commando Japanese and Biohazard HD. It'll just take me a while to find that Strider. Anyway, not to worry. PlayStation 2. Well, I should be talking a bit more about PlayStation 3. So many great games. Drake, probably number 1 for me on PlayStation 3. Part 2, so Uncharted Part 2. PlayStation 2, God, I'd have to say Gradius 5, Grand Theft Auto, Shadow of the Colossus, which is now getting released on PlayStation 4. I'm rapt about that. Metal Gear Solid Part 2. I didn't really get into Part 1 because I was too busy playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night. But when I picked up Metal Gear Solid 2 on PlayStation 2, I never put it down pretty much until I completed the game. And then I wanted to go through the whole game, getting all the dog tags. Anyway, over here is the PlayStation 4. So as you can see, I've fluffed it up. When I say fluff it up, instead of having the games all squashed together, I've kind of fluffed it up just so it's not plain shelves. I haven't got like the full library. I'm not even interested in getting the full library any time. They're retail prices. I'm not going to play retail prices when I've got so many other games to play. But yeah, games like Resident Evil and Street Fighter 5 and Doom, I will buy those games straight off the bat because I want to play them straight away. Always Call of Duty, first day. Day 1, must have it. I love it. I'm guilty of like this, Metal Gear 5. I call myself a Metal Gear fan. I'm not a fan at all because I haven't even played 5. I've only played like hardly any of it. I've got out of the hospital and then I've been distracted either working on Last Gamer, I've got work to do, or another game's come along and I've just got stuck into that. And I'm guilty again, Uncharted 4. I'm halfway through it and unfortunately, it just didn't capture me like Part 2 did. And 3 didn't capture me like Part 2 did. I did finish 3, but I'll have to go back to that. Last of Us I did go right through. That game is phenomenal. And I got Last of Us on the PlayStation 4, the remastered edition. Horizon Zero Dawn, another great game, 4K, all that kind of stuff. And that's it. And I've just got some stuff up the top. There's still so much to come in here. I don't know where I'm going to put it all. I'm trying to organise that now. But just boxes, this Neo Geo stick. It's a Mark of the Wolves Neo Geo stick for the PlayStation 2. And here's a bit of a blast from the past. It wasn't very successful. My PSP Go, which I actually used a lot. Because I did have a lot of games that were digital download at the time. So that's good. Not many Vita games. I've got to get into Vita more. Believe it or not, I play my Vita nearly every second night. I love Plants vs. Zombies, even though I've finished it to hell. Drake, or Uncharted, I just always call it Drake. Ratchet & Clank, I love my Vita. I reckon it's a very underrated handheld. I'm not saying it's better than the 3DS, because I love Kirby Triple Deluxe on the 3DS. It's like my favourite platformer on handheld, period. But the Vita is actually a very good system. Some of the Lego games are quite good. Yes, so that's probably about it for this aisle. We'll spin around and this aisle's blank. We've got games coming. This is where the PlayStation 1 American games are going to be. So we've only got a few up here at the moment just to say, hey, this is where PlayStation America are going to be, the American games. So I've got a lot more than that, I can assure you. This is PlayStation 2 Japanese. This is not going to house all the PlayStation 2 games. There's just boxes and boxes and boxes to still come. PlayStation 2 Japanese games are some of my favorite games in the past probably 20 years. There is just so many great games on that. A lot of them did come out in the Western world, but there was a lot that didn't as well. I don't even know where I can even start. The Grand Theft Auto Vice City is slightly different on the Japanese version. I love the Sega Ages games, and I'm looking for them. Here they are. So these are the full set of Sega Ages games. Gran Turismo I've spoken about many times before. I just don't even know where to start. Gradius 5 would be one of my favourite shoot 'em ups in the Gradius series. I love probably 3 just slightly more, but 5, they hit the nail on the head. Treasure came over to Konami and made that beautiful game. PlayStation 2 Japanese, it's kind of like a mess, I guess, you know. When people look at it, if you don't know Japanese, it's just like, whoa, you kind of get lost there. R-Type Final, that was an excellent R-Type. This is the Korean version. I don't know where the Japanese version's gone, but the Korean version actually came out first. Not many people know that. Res, if you love Res on the Dreamcast, I'm not saying it's better and it's not worse, but it's just a good alternative if you don't have a Dreamcast. It's on the PlayStation 2, but it's been done a couple of times after that, and that came with the Trance Vibrator, which is a separate thing that I think you put on your lap or something, but I can't remember. I'm gonna have a look quickly. Yeah, it's like a little mouse thing, and yeah, it just vibrates to the beat because Res is all about it's about the music. So that's a good one. That's a good one. Got some Street Fighter control pads up there. Gotta love these control pads. That's my Rue one. I haven't actually used that one, but it's like a Saturn style for the PlayStation 2. So it's like a Saturn control pad, and they're pretty cool. They came out everywhere. I think I did use this one. I'm pretty sure I used this one the most. So yeah, I really love that. That's something pretty cool. All right, we're gonna have to wrap this up soon. We're going on and on and on. So this is just like a shrine to Metal Gear, and after I've told you I haven't even really played 5, you're probably thinking, what kind of a fan are you? But I love my Metal Gear series. I love them all. 2 being my favorite. I know people are gonna go, oh, it's a bit cringeworthy there to say that, but I love 2. That's kind of the first one I played. I like the story. I didn't mind that Raiden was in it, so there you go. We will go down this aisle and try and really push this out. This is pretty much a full set of PlayStation 1 games. There's still some more games to come. As I said with the Saturn stuff, there's a lot of games that you can't read. Like for this one, for example, look, it's Japanese there, it's Japanese there. What is this game? So we've got to type in the code and try and find out what that game's called and put it in alphabetical order. So no surprise here, PlayStation 1. What's my favorite game? My favorite all-time game is actually Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So obviously that's my favorite PlayStation 1 game. I love PlayStation 1. I love Saturn a little bit more because it just had the games I liked on it better, and I am a hardcore Sega fan. But to get me off Sega, you know, because I really wasn't happy at the start when Sony entered the ring, I just thought, oh, they're going to stuff up the market. 3DO wasn't doing well at the stage, so I thought it was just a flash in the pan, but they just surprised us all with games like Castlevania, Gran Turismo. Another classic one, and not many people talk about this one, is Project Overkill by Konami, only released in the Western world. So it was released in the Australian, Europe market, New Zealand, and in America. That's a great game. It's an isometric view. Let's get on to PC games. So this is big box PC, where I like to call it retro. So these are all the retro games, like kind of from the 80s and 90s. I was never into I wasn't a big PC fan. Now I am absolutely loving it. And now I've built a beast of a computer. I can run these games and they run so well it's like buying a new game. Some of them do show their age, but you'd be surprised a game 6 years old can look as good as an Xbox One or PS4 game, and I kid you not. I'm talking about Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, I put in the other day, phenomenal. We'll go over to the other side. Okay, so when we come around here, these are kind of my PC modern games. So as said, a lot still setting up, so there's a lot more to come. I'm trying to pick out a favourite straight away. Quantum of Solace. Being a James Bond fan and loving this game. I reckon this was such a good game. It had the Call of Duty 3 engine in it, using it, I should say. And I love that game. I've finished on every platform, even DS, which is it's kind of a weird game. Xbox Original, so I won't say Xbox One, Xbox Original. So full set of Xbox Original games, and this is the full set of Japanese games. Not many games came out in Japan. It wasn't that successful, but it's still a great console. I'll pick out some of my favorites. Crazy Taxi 3, and another favorite on the Xbox Original was Outrun 2, which was using the same hardware. So the arcade actually used the hardware Cheerio, and that is basically an Xbox motherboard with a little bit more beefier, I think graphics. I just can't remember what they actually did. But that's it. We'll flip around here. I'll show you this first. This is a Mountain Dew Xbox. I'm actually putting other Xboxes here. I've got a very, very rare Xbox that I'm not showing yet. We're going to show that in Rareware. So Rareware is where you're going to see rare wares and rare games like the Ultra 64 or the Atari Xbox and other things like that. So that's for there. It's my Halo 5 Guardians. Bit of a shrine to Halo, a massive Halo fan. Kind of disappointed that Halo 6 has not been announced yet, but that's okay. This is a picture of me, look a bit younger there. And me and Claudia Black. For those who don't know who Claudia Black is, she played Chloe Fraser in the Uncharted series. She's mainly known for that, and she played Sam in Gears of War 3, and she's in Gears of War 4 a little bit as well. But mainly Gears of War 3, and she even, so I met her, obviously I met her, it's not photoshopped, and I got her to sign this, and it says, "Oh, fan bloody tastic," and that's her line in Gears of War as Sam. So it's good to meet her. That's my marker statue. I love this statue. It's just unreal. Look at it. So, and then there's DJ. Okay, so now we're at the Xbox. We're coming towards the end. We're at the Xbox 360. This Xbox 360 will go up to here, and then these are the Japanese. Some are exclusive, some are not. I've just bought them again because they're slightly different, but this will take care of a full Xbox collection. I don't know how it looks on camera, if it looks too small because of the small shelves, I'm not sure. But yeah, this will cover the full set. And again, here's a Quantum of Solace, the Japanese version. I was so rapt to get the Japanese versions because they are slightly different. And Bloodstone, another classic on Xbox 360 and PS3. It's great to have those games. So yeah, I know I've probably missed out on so much, you know, how we've kind of just, you know, to me, I feel like I'm rushing and I kind of have to. We will come over to here where I've got some shelves, and this is my Xbox One collection. By all means, not the biggest at all. I'm not, you know, I don't really care about that. It's that there's so many games I've got to get and play. At the moment, I'm going to be playing so much Gears 4. I literally live on that game, Halo 5. I just play the obvious suspects, but there's so many games I've still got to kind of get down. Time is the problem, isn't it? You know, you buy a game and before you know, there's another game out there and you're splitting your time between those two games, and then life takes over. So, and that's just some consoles up there that I've put up, some kind of, you know, funky consoles. And the simulators, I was trying to get them up and running for this tour, but unfortunately they all needed an update. Isn't that, you know, typical? But you can see how I made the simulators in a simulator video that we did a while back, and yeah, how we got them all up and running and all screens, 4K screens, and Xbox One S's. And Forza 3 linked up. It just looks absolutely fantastic. You get your friends together, you play Forza, and you have a ball. It's good stuff. So that's it for that side of the room. All right, so we'll come back into the middle of the room before we show you the kind of setup. So in the middle of the room, I've got this kind of diamond shape. And here I've got a lot of the Xbox 3 kind of, accessories and all that kind of thing. Xbox 360 boxes, Japanese boxes, American boxes, Australian. That's a Lost Planet 2. I love that box. That's from Japan. It's a collector's edition. I've got my Gran Turismo. I've got my Gran Turismo kind of game set here. As I said, because I'm still setting up, I'm just working out what can go where and how and all that kind of thing. Gran Turismo 5 Signature Edition. Got my PS4 Anniversary Edition, the Metal Gear Solid, the Call of Duty, the PS4 Pro, the Street Fighter joystick. They're just kind of in there. Up here I've got something, notable. Space Harrier on Laserdisc. The Megadrive LP, where you can listen to Megadrive classic games, Streets of Rage and all that kind of stuff. And that came with the classic collection, I think it was, for the PS3 and Xbox 360. The LP of Afterburner, some Laserdiscs of Street Fighter, how to play it and all that kind of stuff. So I've got more of that stuff, but that's just there temporarily. A board game of Ghouls and Ghosts, that's quite rare. Zelda Sword. This is just kind of where I'll keep all my magazines and any kind of books and that. There's me, that was in Edge magazine. That was really nice, and that's the Guinness Book of Records where I'm currently in now, and for next year as well. I will tell you, I have got a message from Guinness Book of Records just to say that I'm in next year's Guinness Book of Records, and I am submitting a new list, an updated list at the end of the year, once this is all set up so I can catalogue everything, because that's kind of what this is all about as well. Just some Nintendo magazines, Electronic Gaming Monthly. These still have to be put up there. These are the plastic covers I was talking about. This is just kind of all books and stuff like that. When we come around to this side, people who are into Amiga and Commodore 64 will appreciate this. This is every single edition from issue 1 to the last one. Where is that? I can't, it might be on the bottom, of Amiga format. So this is every single book in mint condition. I got the cover discs, they're all being put in a different section, just so they're not squashed and the magazines look nice and colourful. Mean Machines, I have to put the rest of those there. That was a classic book, basically published in the UK. And Mean Machines was basically an offspring from C plus VG, which is here. So this is every single edition of C plus VG, so they're all there. That's Zap 64. I haven't got every Zap 64, but I'm working on that. I've still got more to come out. But C plus VG, with all the cassettes that used to come, all the posters, and I'm going to do a segment on that where I can actually talk about the magazines and how relevant they were in my life, because to be honest, sometimes I'll pick up a game and you get that feeling of, oh yeah, I remember that age. The magazines do that more so. You just can pick up a magazine and you open a page, oh, I remember that, and you remember the ads. You remember the full colour ads of like that Winter Games one, or sometimes ads of shops in England that would sell grey imports, and that's how I got my Sega Mega Drive and my Super Famicom back then. So yeah, the books are very, very near and dear to my heart. The magazines, I should say, and they're all from back in the day, and I love that. I've just got a Zelda cutout. I don't know what that's doing there. And that's my actual Atari from 1979, the very one. And believe it or not, I still use that very Atari today. It just shows you how well things were made back then. So it's just like an Atari cabinet. Then I come to my computers, Atari ST, Amiga 1200, Amiga 600. And I've just got so many other computers that I've got to work out how I'm going to store them in this room. Then it come down to the other kind of 8-bit style computers, the Plus 4, the Commodore 16, the Commodore 64. You know, the 64, there's 2 different versions, the Slim and the normal, which they called that the bread box. So yeah, and then there's the Amiga CD32, the ZX Spectrum, the Amstrad 464, and the list goes on and on and on. So this will actually be done soon, but it's a lot of working out. It's taken me so long to get to this point. So anyway, that's just it's just how it is. It even feels like even now this room's starting to kind of cave in because I'm running out of room. And that's it. Luke at the moment, he's playing Skylanders. He loves Skylanders, but don't let that fool you. He's into 8-bit games, 16-bit games, 32-bit. He'll play anything. You just put him in front of him and he probably doesn't even know I'm speaking at the moment. So we will talk about how things are connected. These are my modern consoles. I've got 2 sharp TVs there. These are 60-inch, and this is my Sony, and I have, I think it was in a vlog not long ago, the 65-inch, and it is a ZD9. It's the flagship model. It's an incredible TV. It's absolutely incredible. No, it's not OLED. It is just a LED, but it's got backlight, and the amount of brightness, it almost cut your eyes out, it's so bright. Even that, there's just so much light coming from it. It's HDR, 4K and all that kind of stuff. Made in Japan. I mean, it's just got it. It's an awesome TV. I've had it for a couple of months now, and I love it. And good refresh rate as well. So that's kind of how everything is. How's it connected? Well, I usually have a few consoles going to each TV. So usually friends come and play on this console. You know, when we're playing games. If there's more friends, I can set up more TVs. So this has got 4 HDMIs in, and I'll put 4 consoles to that. And usually we mainly play Xbox. So we play Gears and Halo and Call of Duty. So it's more an Xbox thing. If they want to, have PlayStation over, there is always a PlayStation console there, and off we go. How I connect up my to my TV, I have Xbox 360, Xbox One S, PlayStation 3 White, PS4 Pro, the Nintendo Wii U, and the Switch. And they're all connected to my amp, and then the amp is connected to my TV, and I can't forget my my beast of a computer. So they're all connected to the amp, and the amp, I just select what I want. That amp does 4K, HDR, all that kind of stuff, which it's HDTCT 2.2 from memory. Don't quote me on that, could be wrong. So that's how that works, and it goes to the screen, and I just select what I want. This is Luke's play area, so he's got a white PS4, PS3, R2-D2 Xbox 360. Where's your Xbox One? Oh, over on your Forza. So his Xbox One is currently on that Forza console because he's got all these Hot Wheels tracks and what's the other one called? Blizzard Mountain. So sometimes he knows more than me. And he's got the Wii U. He hasn't got a Switch yet. He gets pocket money, and maybe towards the end of the year he might get one if he's good. How's that? So that's where Luke sits and plays, and he's got most of the consoles connected up. Some, like the Xbox One and Xbox 360, because he doesn't play Xbox 360 a lot these days, he'll just remove the HDMI and put in an Xbox 360. He knows how to connect them and all that kind of thing. But because the Xbox One is backwards compatible, he will mainly play Halo and all those type of games on the Xbox One. So that's it. He's playing Skylanders at the moment. Let's go over to this side, and this is kind of the nitty gritty. I love this stuff, right? So we've got the CRTs. We will start with this one. Now this is a Sony Wega 36-inch Sony Wega. It is an awesome TV. Weighs about 96 kilos, so it's extremely heavy. It's got component in. It can do 1080i resolution and 720p if I'm not mistaken. But obviously I'm going to use it for the GameCube and Wii and things like that. I have got my PS3 here, my fat version, and Xbox original, and they go on this TV because they all use component. So that's the best quality picture when it comes to those consoles, and playing it on a CRT is a lot better. That's a great TV. It's pretty much the best widescreen TV out there, to be quite honest with you. Great size, very stable picture. Probably not the best game to show, you know, Xbox 360 playing Outrun online in 720p looks absolutely phenomenal. Really good. Great sound as well. These speakers, they might just look like normal TV speakers, which don't give off the best, but that's a great sound. So that's the systems that are connected to that. They are connected via a switcher that I've got at the back there. It's just a component switcher. And also, there's two components in on this TV. So my GameCube is hooked directly up, and I've got two GameCubes, one American and one Japanese, just for the different games, because there are a lot of GameCube games that are exclusive. We get onto my main playing console. So this TV is a Blancpain TV. It's got SCART in. Now, if you're not familiar with SCART, it basically is a 21-pin connection, and it carries a signal known as RGB. So it's red, green, blue, and that is the best possible picture you can get out of a video game console. Some consoles don't have RGB out, and you have to modify the console. Majority of the consoles have it. It has it on the Master System, the Megadrive, the Saturn, the Dreamcast, the Super Famicom, Super Nintendo. N64 needs a bit of a mod, but it's pretty much got it. Yeah, but machines like the NES, the 3DO, they need modification. The Neo Geo has it because it is kind of arcade hardware, and arcades use RGB as standard. All right, so I will be doing a video on RGB, modding consoles, all this kind of thing, very near future. It will only be a couple of months away, and we will talk about how to mod consoles. Is RGB worth it? Is it not? What's the difference between that and S-Video and all that? Which there is a big difference. You know, the camera won't pick it up, but it's extremely sharp. This is a great TV. This is an 80 centimeter Blancpain. It's got, from memory, a Philips tube in it. So the actual tube is made by Philips. From memory, I could be wrong, but most of my consoles go to this, because next to this one, which is only 27 inch, and that's around in centimeters. I can't remember. But anyway, this is an 80 centimeter. That's a 27 inch because that's the model number 27. We'll get to that in a minute. But most of my consoles go to that because I want the bigger picture, the bigger CRT. Look at this little beast. This thing is a Sony PVM-27, so it's a 27 inch CRT TV, and this thing is as bright and as sharp and as clear as you can get. There are obviously different ones which are broadcast monitors. So this is known as the professional monitor, and then there's broadcast. So it's BVM and PVM. I think that's right. And I've got my PlayStations running on that. Because it's a Sony monitor, Sony PlayStation, I just like it. And when I'm sitting in this chair, it's a little bit more intimate, a little bit more away from those consoles. Not that I mind all the consoles mixing, but this is my Sony one. And just look at that. That's RGB SCART as well. This is hooked up, and I've got a SCART switcher, I will say that. So I'll come back here and just show you. I haven't got anything fancy. People must think that I might have something fancy, but this is just a normal SCART switcher, and I've connected it directly to the TV as the SCART itself, and I've put on the switcher. I've put the brightness up to see if there's any distortion lines, and that switcher does the job. In the future, I am building a custom-made switcher with about 10 SCARTs, but I'll be doing that as an episode, so you, the audience, can, you know, watch and see what I do and maybe get some ideas yourself, or you know, could help you out. So just coming back to this TV, if you push control, you'll notice it all lights up here. It's kind of a funky design. It tells you NTSC, you adjust the brightness, the color, you know, the purity and all that kind of thing. And there's no speakers connected to it. I prefer to have a separate amp to run my equipment. Same with this one, I'm running a Marantz amp, 2-channel, and I love it loud. I love my stuff as loud as possible. When I'm playing games, I want the full impact, I just want to feel the game, not just see it. So yeah, so that's it. Coming on to this section, this is a bit different. I didn't want my computers kind of in pigeonholes how the consoles are, because you kind of got to type away at computers. And just for loading them and all that kind of stuff. So this is where my computer sits. This has to be rearranged. I have to do something else because my Amstrad 464, my X68000, there's going to be more computers I need to kind of put on the desk that I want to use more often. Whereas the computers now are kind of the main ones I use, like my Sinclair X68000. That's the keyboard for the ZX Spectrum. That's that one, that's the 128K. The MSX, that's MSX2 made by Panasonic. So that's kind of a great computer to have. Again, Japanese only. And my X68000, which is a desktop one, which has a MIDI player, and we'll tell you more about that in future episodes. That's not there at the moment. I've got Sony professional speakers here. I don't even think they're on. Yes, I do. So, listen to that SID classic music. So that's the SID chip, the famous sound chip for the Commodore 64. That's my original Commodore 64. This, I have to stick down that, but that's no big deal. Still running, still the same disk drive, runs today, and I've thrashed it over the years. I've thrashed it all the time. Last Ninja's favourite game on the Commodore 64, so I had to put that on for this room tour. And again, these are studio speakers. They're also known as monitors, even though they're not visual monitors, they're studio speaker monitors, and that's it. This is hooked up by S-Video, so the Commodore 64 uses kind of like an S-Video plug, but it wasn't S-Video back then. I'll definitely do a video on how you can actually mod your 64. You don't have to mod inside the computer, just the cable. The Amiga is RGB, so that's SCART. And same with the X68000 and the Spectrum. So that's how I connect up all this. All this is usually connected up by RGB SCART. Well, thank you for your time in watching this games room tour. It still feels a bit scrappy because there's a lot still not here, and I would have preferred to do a tour with a full complete room, but that will come in the future. It's just that I get emails and messages all the time on doing a room tour, so at least I give you a glimpse of what actually happens inside this room. Now remember, please, if you want to know more about Last Gamer, just watch other videos. I'd love you to subscribe and to go on Facebook, on Last Gamer's Facebook page. That's the best way. I prefer to leave my personal page just for friends and family, close friends and family. But by all means, to go onto that Last Gamer Facebook page. I'll answer any questions, or I'll attempt to. And I will be doing an arcade room tour with over 70 machines and climbing. I've got to do an arcade room tour soon. I'm trying to knock out as many videos as I can. We're aiming now on a minimum of 2 a week. We're going to be doing reviews, a lot more series reviews, and just buckle in and get ready. And I will say, my goals going forward is to deliver a comprehensive review and deliver something that's not really out there on YouTube, to show what's going on in the room at all times, and to keep you guys informed with the latest, either retro or modern computer or anything else. Until next time, bye for now.